Hello there. Good day. Hope you well and energized. Um, well, today I'm gonna dive into it. I want to talk about the few things that, especially women. So it's Women's Month. So I thought, at least before it's over, let me hoy in something that maybe could help you somewhere. A few things that are a huge mistake that we are making in relationships, whether it's before, during, or after a relationship, and we tend to realize some of these things at a later stage. Okay, so there's few things that I just noted there. There's lots, but I think these are key, and as a result, they could summarize most of these things that you might find that we do. The first thing that is a huge mistake, especially for women, is when a woman would not know her value. You know, the minute you don't know what value you're holding, you know, who you are, what you are capable of, how you fit into a man's life, it's a problem. It becomes a serious problem. Because now when you don't know your value, anyone can come and put a price tag on you. Okay. So if I'm wearing this jersey and it's got no price to it, and I ask the owner or the person who makes it and they say, it's up to you, I'm going to pay anything. Okay. That is why you find clothing items that I really believe are incredibly ugly. But because of, the person who made it assigned a certain value to it, and as a result, you pay for something that you could pay a quarter or a fraction, small fraction of it, but you pay lots and lots of money for it because of the value that has been attached to it. So you need to know your value as a woman. And that value, no one can tell you what your value is. You need to value yourself. And how you carry yourself and what you do will determine how I value you. Remember, I'm buying into what I see. And what I see is what has been presented to me. So I'm going to put an offer on the table. That is why you would hardly find, yes, there are some brave guys, at the back of a truck, and the heart would want, but deep down they know that they wouldn't just shell a model that is working there. It's just an ambition trying their luck, but genuinely speaking, you understand? So there's a certain class that you need to put to yourself. And the other thing, the second one, that as women you need to really refrain from. You need to refrain from dating onions. Because if a man would make you cry, tears of sadness, it should be tears of joy, but if it's tears of sadness, once maybe a person can get away with, maybe you're still figuring each other out. But if they can make you cry more than once, and then it's a problem, you need to know that you need to put a stop, an end to it, once and for all. But the minute you start entertaining it, you're turning now that guy into an onion, and an onion is gonna make you cry every single time. They will do anything, and you'll just be a crybaby day in, day out. You won't sleep without crying. Because why? You have allowed that person to get away with it the first time they did it. The other problem that most women are having when it comes to relationship is the doing it yourself mentality. It's not in your DNA, my sister. Refrain from doing that. Yes, you should be an independent woman. You should be doing everything for yourself, but you need to know that there are certain things that by God's divine ordination, He has made them to be things that when you have a man in your life, you shouldn't be able to do those things. I'm not going to get into those things. There's lots of them that you shouldn't get into when you are in a space where you say that you have someone in you. It's there are other things that comes natural for you. There are things that will never come natural, and they are not even in your DNA. And the more you try to do them, is the more they become a serious burden to you. They become a pain for you. And then the other thing, number 4, never try to change him. Most women that I've come across, that I've sat down with in sessions, and I would listen, after like few minutes, I'm realizing this woman is not frustrated because of the guy sitting next to her. Frustrated because she's using so much energy to try and change this person, and you'll never do it. Mamela, we couldn't change. We will not change. All right? God couldn't change us. He decided rather I would just create you as a woman out of him, because, it was just going to be something else. I'm still trying to figure out his mind out of that, for him to say it's not good for a man to be alone, and I'll create him a helper. Remember, you are a suitable helper to your partner. The minute things are not gelling well, especially if you're still dating, then you are not suitable. You might be a helper, but you are not suitable. You should ask yourself, am I a suitable helper? Does this person even need me in his life? Before you can be able to start now putting yourself completely out there for him. Okay? And then the other thing that women overlook is appreciating the smallest things. Men to a certain extent are like puppies. A puppy, you throw in a ball there, it fetches it, and then you give it a bone. I promise you throw again, and then it's gonna go, because it's looking forward to the incentive that comes with it. As men, we are like that. You incentivize us by saying thank you, even for things that we're supposed to do. If the light bulb is off and then I change it, thank you. Just that appreciation goes a long way, and it's a mistake, because most women that I've heard, like, no, but Pastor X, that's his job. No. It's his job, but he chose to do it, meaning that he could have refrained from doing it. Okay, and then the other one, number 6, make sure that whatever you do, sex him to the grave, my sister. Sex him to the grave. Add sex in everything. Add sex. Rather or imutlapele, ne? Askai batla likontle, because ahutsi kamohare. I normally make an example when I do my sessions and say, if you have a dog and you feed your dog well, your dog will never go to the dustbins. That's the next door. If it does that, it's a dog. So same thing, feed him. Even before you give him food, just say, baby, your supper is ready. Can I give you one round before I bring the food? You understand? Just sex him to the grave. You'll thank me later. And then number 7, you make sure that whatever you do, stop drama. Most relationships are full of drama and less memories. I don't have anything I'm sitting down and thinking back to and say, wow, I'm happy for this relationship. And as a result, the home now becomes what's the word? It becomes a war zone. Those countries, or even here when there's riots and everything, they would even broadcast on media and say, stay away from this street and that street. It's not a pleasant place to be in. Okay, so most men, they stay away from home because they know ukuthi they're going to a place of misery. The Bible even says it's better to live somewhere in the wilderness alone on your own than being in the same house with a quarrelsome wife. Bad thing. Understand? Okay, so build more memories, things that, even if your partner is at work or he's out with the friends, when he thinks of home, when he thinks of going home, he becomes excited. He enjoys, he looks forward to it. Not a drama. When you going home to a drama, you end up making up lies, making up things because you just know it's just going to be dramatic. And then the other big problem, a mistake that women make, is that they expect and impose men responsibilities on boys. Okay, just because I've got beard, just because I can get an erection, just because I make babies, just because I have a job, doesn't mean that I'm a man. There are men who behave like boys. You take your man, you take a 14-year-old boy and the reasoning, and you think, Lord, what happened? And to be honest, partly some of these things, they start with you ladies. When you raise your sons and you make them to be the boys forever, and now that bug is passed on to a poor lady somewhere who just falls in love with this young boy in a body of a man. That's a problem. So when you start seeing the signs, and at the dating stage, you cannot fast track that boy to grow. That's another thing. Growth you don't force. If you plant a seed of potatoes, all right, and then after some time, that potato will start now to germinate. It's going to start coming out. The minute you start seeing a head from the ground, it doesn't matter how much water you put on that. Just because you're putting 20 liters of water, it's not going to make it grow sooner or quicker. Instead, you're going to kill it. Okay. So you can't force a man to grow when they are not ready and prepared to grow. They have to make a choice of saying, I'm going to grow up. So that's the problem. We promote them way too soon. Okay. Some you promote from boyfriend to husband way too soon. And you find that they are not ready. Shem skepsel somebody. Okay. And then the other one, whatever you do, make sure that you never marry a person that you don't trust. Trust was never created and you are now married, and that trust was never sustained. And that trust was never there to begin with. And now you're married and you start seeing things and you're wondering, no, my sister, you brought it up to yourself. You married this person knowing very well that you don't trust. They've given you enough reasons. Yes, you forgave, but they gave you even another reason again. They gave you another one. And you still walked into that altar while you just don't trust them. That's a big problem. Okay, trust is earned. And if you couldn't earn it before you married him, it's going to be difficult to earn it when you guys are married. That's what I will be having on my book, Life After the Wedding. It's going to be talking about those things. So make sure you get the book. And then the other thing, you probably tied him down way too soon. This point is similar to expecting men responsibilities from a boy, but you might find that this person was still progressing, warming up to a certain expectations of a committed relationship or even marriage. And what you did was, and most of the times women do this, and it's good to ask those relevant questions. Where is this relationship going? Where do you see? But don't force things where you start putting deadlines. If you don't marry me by, December, and then it's over. If you don't, Because now this person will make those commitments, you'll make that that decision under duress. And now when they feel ukuthi they haven't, it's like taking a phone. You know, when you buy a new phone, they say use it, and then when it's empty, charge it until it's full. If you charge it and then you leave it at 50% and you start using it, taking it out of the charger, I promise you the lifespan of that battery is just going to be problematic for you. So you might find that this person was heading there. Yes, they were intending to do everything right, you know, to do you good, and you just forced it. The least we can do is to understand, you know, their intentions, their timings, and their state of mind, instead of just moaning. And I almost said another word that starts with B. I was going to be in trouble. Yeah, instead of moaning and that B word about it, make sure that you just understand, okay? And then when you understand, you can be able to decide if that is what you want or you don't want. But you need to also be clear in your understanding that you also communicate your expectations and your desires. It's two things, expectations and desires, okay? This is what I'm expecting, but this is what I would love. That's your desire, all right? And then the last one is the fact that you find that this is a big mistake. We start chasing men, we start chasing relationships, we start chasing weddings, we start chasing marriage before we even find ourselves in God. Okay? He who finds a wife, it's not your job to be found. Your job is to find God, to find Christ for yourself. And the Christ in you will work like a Bluetooth or a hotspot. It's going to draw the right person to you. And now you find that you chase a relationship, you compromise your values, you compromise your principles for something now that is not God ordained. And now when you have it, it becomes a pain for you. Let it sink. And I'm going to leave it at that. Remember, you can press the button at the bottom here to subscribe. Just click and then you'll be subscribed every time I post something else, and then you'll be able to get a notification for that. And you can also get hold of me on Instagram and also on Facebook. It's Marriage Affairs with Pastor X. And also you can book appointments and order our books. We've got 11 of them through our WhatsApp line 083 33 17350. God bless you and much love.